Welcome to the Water Babies Podcast. This week we are joined by Stephen Weimer, Joshua Weimer, and Lindsay Weimer because we could only afford one last name. We'll be talking about Bigfoot and other things. Probably will meander and go into some really stupid things that we'll end up regretting and cringing at later on the Water Babies Podcast. And that was She's a Girl, Yeah, Buddy by Johnny Cash. This is the Water Babies Podcast. The three of us have already been mentioned. We are people, sort of. And we are joined by
Jewel.
And
Jewelry.
This is good stuff, man. So tell me a little bit about your background. At what age did Bigfoot slap you?
It was back in the old days when I was all of 25.
Okay, good. I was going to say that's not an age, but you came around. Good job.
Shut up. How can you add it to what I'm saying as long as I'd like?
Was that English?
Sure.
See? All right. Lindsay, do you have a segment for us?
I do. So I'm going to tell you the name of a disease, and you have, as per usual, you guys have to guess what it is, and then I'll tell you what the disease really is. I feel like this is one Josh is going to know, but so he...
If it's something offensive, I'm really going to be ticked.
No, it's just, we've talked about it before, and I forgot that we talked about it until I already had it researched, but...
Down syndrome. No, sorry. Josh
Okay.
is closely acquainted with this.
So the disease is called Kuru disease.
Kuru?
Kuru.
I do know what that is.
Okay, let me make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. Yeah, Kuru.
Yeah, you totally are. You got that. Since I know what it is, I'm going to let the other dudes go first. You guys are so weak. Am I going to have to get... No, I know what it is. You guys have to go so I don't spoil it.
Joel, what is Kuru?
Am I going to have to go... Oh, wait.
What is
All
Kuru
right.
disease?
Strong start. You clearly know what it is, though. This is just building drama.
Kuru... What was it called again?
Kuru.
Kuru disease?
Yes.
Kuru disease. Okay, it's a disease.
Kuru disease. Kuru disease. Kuru,
I
kuru,
believe...
kuru.
Is this earlier when you asked me what size a small was, and I said it comes in a small box?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. It is a disease of the Kuru.
Wrong. It's inflammation of the Kuru.
What? Mind blown. I think that there is a special type of rat called Kuru, and it brings about a plague that is now named after that special type of rat called the Kuru.
And what does this plague do?
That's what I'm talking about.
The same as all the other rat plagues, just this one is a different name.
Okay, Joel.
So you know how in Japanese the L's are sounded like an R?
Oh my gosh. We're going to get us canceled. You know, like how they can't see very well?
That's not what I'm saying. But no, in the Japanese language, the L characters are pronounced with the R sound rather than the L sound.
I'm going to hesitantly agree with you.
I have no idea, but sure.
And so, Hulu is like Hulu. So Hulu, like the cell service, would be pronounced Huru. So that's what I'm going off of. It's an addiction to watching Huru.
That's
All
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah.
No, okay. So, Kuru disease. Kuru is the island in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, or the world where it's ruled by cartoons.
With you and old Disney movies tonight?
Fantasy. I don't even think that was a Disney song.
Yeah. No.
Don't interrupt me. It is the island in Bedknobs and Broomsticks that's what? There's lots of hand signals going on.
I was
Or
fidgeting.
are you just like swatting at flies?
I was fidgeting, so he was telling me to stop.
As I scream into the mic, using the background noise. It is the island from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It is ruled by cartoon animals. When you get the Kuru disease, you hallucinate that everything is a cartoon.
I mean, that might be part of the Kuru disease.
You don't even know, and you're.
No, I'm saying the hallucinating
that works.
is
That
part
sounds
of
good to me.
Oh yeah, it's like, you just saved me a lot of
No.
research. On the next thing.
Thanks. Now I don't have to look it up.
I was honestly just like said
Okay.
something that sounded like it might be.
No, the hallucinating is part of the Kuru disease.
Oh, okay.
Is what I was saying. So the Kuru disease is similar to mad cow disease. It is not very prevalent. It is caused by a misfolding protein called a prion, and so it turns your brain into Swiss cheese. Basically,
Cheese, grommet.
there are literally holes in your brain, and it came out of New Guinea, and there was a funeral practice where they would eat part of their departed's brain, and they would get the prion from that.
I knew of the disease. I didn't know it's called Kuru though. That's insane. It's got like such a like cool sounding name for
Yeah.
like brain eating cannibal disease.
Yeah, and it is. It's just insane. It basically gives you Alzheimer's. Not quite, but
The brain crappies.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's why you don't eat brains, period.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's also found it, if I'm remembering, this isn't from the website I looked at, but if I'm remembering microbiology right, it's also found in monkey brains.
Okay.
And so
You don't just get to use a segment as a chance to humble brag. I took microbiology.
I passed too.
I don't like
Not
get
with a
paid
good
to
grade.
smack my knuckles against stuff. Yeah. I'm
But-
smarter than you.
So yeah, don't eat brains.
Get over yourself.
Also, side note, when I took microbiology, I had a really cool teacher, and she had us, for extra credit, basically do a creative project, and I made prion finger puppets that were really, really fun.
And by that she means finger puppets who had Prion's disease, so they kept attacking each other.
They were in the shape of prions.
Oh, I was wrong then.
So does that mean that all the zombies are just looking to get high on hallucinogenics?
I mean, it
Well,
turns
what is your opinion? I think this is about the 20th time I've heard you referencing hallucinations
yeah.
in context of being high. Like, it's not always a good thing. Like, your brain is dying. That's also a way to
Yeah.
hallucinate.
And then your like body, it's like attacks your whole nervous system.
I know, but zombies are constantly after brains, so they're just looking for hallucinogenics.
I mean, that's not the only thing it does.
I know, maybe it's the only thing it does for zombies.
Now, see, they need
this
the
a con-
brains because their brains have been taken over by Kuru disease.
Is this just like a conversation we ended?
So
like
in
agreeing
order
that
to-
anyone's ever taken mushrooms need to be
In order to
shot in the
cure,
head or something like that?
Kuru disease, eat more brains.
Yeah, I think so. Lindsay, can you repeat that?
That is literally the exact opposite of what I said.
Okay, so we're in agreement.
Shut up. The hole in my brain says do it.
And you can totally take us seriously. Are we good? Does anyone have holes in their brain yet?
I feel like everyone who listened to this does.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Steven, it's your turn.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about a medieval cryptid. Or
Yay!
And
Sorry,
there
that was a
There's
nothing
like
weird-
to see.
dramatic pause, like you
Yay.
expect me to know
yeah,
what
I
it
was
is.
like, do I need to fill that
You
pause?
should be impressed I showed up today.
this one's going to be a little bit different because it could be a cryptid in medieval times, and it technically was, but it's more or less a fairy tale or mythology.
Boo.
It starts off with there was a fairy named oh man, I'm already forgetting these names.
There was a name, but
Melusine?
we can't remember it.
There's a fairy named Melusine who was married to King Elianus of Albany, which is known as Scotland.
In New York.
The king had to take an oath in order to marry her. The oath was to never enter her chambers during or just after childbirth. Later, she gave birth to triplets. The three daughters were Melusine, Melior, and Palatine, I think is what they say.
Yeah, you got all those right.
When his elder son from a previous marriage insisted that he go in and see his wife and new babies, the king was so excited that he ignored his oath and entered the birthing chambers. As a result, Melusine left the kingdom forever, her and her daughters grew up in Avalon. What we're going to be talking about is Melusine, her eldest daughter. On their 15th birthday, she asked her mother what happened to their father. Upon hearing how their father had broken his word, forcing them to leave the kingdom, Melusine sought revenge. Together with her sisters, Melusine captured Elenus and locked him with his riches in a mountain. Melusine became enraged when she learned what the girls had done to their father and punished Melusine with a curse. Melusine was condemned to take the form of a serpent from the waist down every Saturday. If she could find someone...
That sounds like a party.
If she could find someone who loved her despite her monstrosity, she could marry him. She could also marry someone without telling them about the curse, but
Was
the
she
marriage
Princess Fiona?
was...
She should have just like joined like a Christian sorority or something. She'd have found somebody to marry her. It's like everyone there is like crazy to get married.
Yeah.
I would give her like 2 meetings and she'd be married.
It's like, I need someone to marry.
Right, or go to BYU and it wouldn't even be 2 meetings. It'd be like you just like show up and like, oh, she has a pulse and it might be female.
Anyways, she could also marry someone without telling them about the curse, but their marriage would end the minute he sees the monstrosity.
Just like
that's
girls
not
wearing makeup, am I
necessarily
right?
I mean, some people are into that.
Girl, you know what I like. You got that serpent butt going on.
Melusine became the fairy queen of the forest of Columbiers.
You just dropped that in without warning me it was coming up.
What?
You keep going. Leave me behind. Hit the cough button or something.
Melusine became the fairy queen of the forest.
Skip over it.
I don't even know what you're saying.
Skip over that. Just keep going.
Melusine became...
Skip over it.
the fairy queen of the forest of Columbiers in the French region of Poitiers. One day she stumbles across a duke that was very distressed because he had accidentally killed his uncle during...
Oh, crud, man. We've all been there.
If I had $1 for every time.
I feel like very distressed was kind of an understatement. I don't know what you would say there, but like, someone's like, he's pretty bummed out. He killed his uncle by accident.
That sucks.
He's just like, see him like just like absentmindedly kicking a rock. He's like, what's wrong, little buddy? This like freaky snake woman comes out. It's like, it's like stab my uncle to death, whatever. I added that last part.
I was gonna ask how he died.
Dang, where was I?
Queen of the Fairy Kingdom.
Fairy queen.
Right after the guy accidentally killed his uncle.
He was very distressed because he had accidentally killed his uncle during a hunt and was unsure what to do.
Some Dick Cheney action.
Melusine gives him advice on how to explain the incident to his family and promises him that she would help him to attain riches, wealth, and power. This helped ease his grief, and he was so pleased with her help that he asked her to be his bride.
Now that money's involved, it's fine.
Yeah. She agreed on the one condition that he never see her on a Saturday. He agreed to the request, and they were married at once.
See, hold on. Her dad can't keep his promise like once. Why does she think that this guy can do it for their lives?
Because it's a fairy tale.
Okay.
And because he killed his uncle, so I mean, therefore, he's pretty upright, outstanding dude. It's like, you killed your uncle, I can trust you now.
Yeah. It was on accident, so if it was on purpose, then
well, so I think exactly how she did it is like this one time I was just like swinging my arms around. I was really young, like pretending to be a windmill or something. I don't know. My eyes were closed, and Lindsay walked right into me, and so it was like I just like flattened her while waving my arms around. I got in a lot of trouble for it, but I feel like my life might be very different if this fairy princess snake woman
would have showed up and gave me something to describe better than, well, I was just like waving my fist around and Lindsay walked into it. I don't blame them for getting mad at me. Even listening to it now, knowing what happened, it doesn't sound convincing. It's like, I was just like randomly shooting arrows around and he walked right into it.
That still sounds better than waving my fist around.
Oh, so you're on their side. Typical.
Anyways,
Or no snake woman.
Melusine helped his kingdom to become powerful and prosperous very rapidly. They had 10 children, but they were all deformed. In spite of their
Well, that sounds just like royalty.
in spite of their deformities, the children were strong, talented, and loved throughout the land. That might actually come in later. One day, the Duke's brother visited him and made him very suspicious about the Saturday activities of his wife. So the next Saturday, the Duke sought his wife, finding her in her bath, where he spied on her through a crack in the door.
God damn.
Yeah, he was horrified to see that she had the body and tail of a serpent from her waist down. He said nothing until the day that one of their sons attacked him.
How freaky would it be like she had the body and waist of a serpent from the head up? Sorry.
That was actually part of the myth too.
She had a...
Piscine, I think that's her name. Piscine wasn't going to curse her from her head up because apparently she was so beautiful, or the most beautiful of her daughters or whatever, so she decided to curse her from her waist down.
Isn't Pisces the astrological symbol?
It's not Pisces.
It's... No, but I'm saying, is it the same root word?
Prescene.
Oh, okay.
Prescene.
I know nothing.
How many times I've heard this name and I suddenly can't remember how to pronounce it.
At least twice.
But no, it has nothing to do with Pisces, at least that I know of.
All right, fair enough. I'm sorry.
So he was horrified to see that she had the body of a tail of a serpent from her waist down. He said nothing until the day that one of their sons attacked a monastery and killed 100 monks, including one of the Duke's brothers.
But he did it on accident, so I mean,
Yeah.
He was just
was
like
waving my
his
fists
arm
around
here.
and monks kept walking into him.
He accused Melusine of contaminating his line with her serpent nature, thus revealing that he had broken his promise to her. So some stories say she turned into a winged serpent and flew away. Others say she jumped out of the window in her fish-like state and swam away.
What? Wasn't
I
a
like
serpent?
It's like, that's
Well,
always...
it's like a water snake.
There's like a couple different variations of the story. So one would be that she has 2 serpent tails or 2 fish-like tails. It's kind of like they kind of just all are melded together into one story. I think it's kind of, we don't know what exactly it was, serpent tails or fish tails. Even the story of how she left. One, she turns into a winged serpent and flies away, and the other one, she turns into a fish and jumps out the window and swims away. It's like,
Both are reasonable responses. I've been there. I usually fly away.
I think the one where she flies away is the more common one, though, and the serpent tails more than the fish tails.
Weren't you saying like it's got some sort of connection to what's that brand?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good podcast.
Are we trying not to say it?
It's that company which we not speak of.
I mean,
They say she would visit her children at nights in human form. Some stories claim she had a bad omen, or she was a bad omen. Melusine appeared at the castle, wailing whenever a count of Lusigna was about to die, or a new one to be born. Melusine was also said to fly 3 times around the north tower of Castle de Lusignan, just prior to any bad occurrence. She was last seen in the 16th century flying around the north tower just days before the castle burnt to the ground. That is kind of that's kind of the story. There's some pretty interesting things about her that make this whole thing a little bit bigger scale other than just some random fairy tale. The first one is that she's considered the origin or the mother of 2 royal houses, or the royal house in 2 different places. The
Lannisters and...
They're just trying to blame their inbreeding on Melusine.
Yeah.
And it's the convenient excuse.
I believe it. I mean, like, what's the queen's husband name? The only way he could be uglier is if he had a snake butt. I mean, the freaking dude, like, you got like paraglider ears and looks like a whale scrotum or something. It's not good. He doesn't look good.
I don't know who we're talking about, but
Prince William.
No,
Prince Harry.
Philip.
Okay.
It's not a good thing. The people who know who I'm talking about are agreeing with what I say. Disagree with what I say. I said agree with what I say.
He does not look good, and I do agree with that. He doesn't seem like a very nice person either.
Yeah,
That's
apparently he had some dealings with Epstein. Oh, dude, we need to get away from this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So two of the houses. One is the Duchy of Luxembourg, who traced their ancestry back to Melusine in the 10th century. There she's very much viewed as the founder of that dynasty. And also the House of the Lusigna. The name Melusine was used as an abbreviation for the words Mare des Lusigen. Mare des Lusigen, which translates mother of the Lusignans.
I'm glad that they came up with the abbreviation.
I know. I was like, okay, might as well just say. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of one of the big things is there's two houses that very much equivalent, especially the Luxembourg. They very much think their origins come from her, or she plays some kind of role in their past, one way or another. The other thing that is very interesting is the story is widespread through several different cultures. It seems to have originated in the Celtic culture, which would be including the northwestern France and the Welsh and everything, and Brittany. That's where it mostly originated. Northwestern France and Brittany is where it started and kind of spread throughout the Celtic regions. But then there's also German, the Sephardic Jewish, and English and non-Celtic French elements in the story as well. And it's kind of very heavily prevalent in those cultures. But then it carries on through like the whole world. Like even in one of the previous podcasts, I was talking about the Yara. That's why it was on my mind at the time, is because I was doing research for this. The Yara was an offspring, not an offspring, but like a Brazilian version of Melusine. And it's like the whole mermaid thing comes from Melusine, pretty much. Melusine and Pyrocine, Precine, whatever her name is, her mother. Melusine and her mother. So you got like the story of the Little Mermaid. Actually, the guy who wrote that, what's his name?
Hans Christian.
Yeah,
Andersen.
Hans Christian Andersen. It was based off of Melusine. The other one is the Starbucks logo.
That's the one we shall not talk about.
I was wondering why we were like beating around the bush. I was like, this is the only thing I know about her.
I both wanted to remind, because I had a bunch of really stupid coffee jokes I wanted to make, but I also didn't know if it's going to throw off Steven's story if I brought it up right then.
So the Starbucks logo, which is most people would think is a mermaid, is on there, is actually specifically Melusine. The people who founded the Starbucks logo chose that character for their logo. Then another one.
Wait, hold on. Do you know why?
No, actually, they pretty much just said because that's what we wanted.
All right.
It kind of it seemed what it boiled down to. I think they came up with some.
Maybe they accidentally killed their uncle, and she met them in the woods.
I think they came up with some stories like how there was something about them being in like a fisherman's
wharf.
No, like on a coastal place or something. So there's a fisherman's dock or something there, and so they were tying in sirens with things, and then they stumbled on the story of Melusine and decided to pick that as the character or something like that. I can't remember how they worded what they said, but
basically because they're from a coastal city.
It just kind of boiled down to like, because it sounded like a good story. Because it was three guys that were writers that wanted a coffee shop, and so they opened up a coffee shop and then had a place to write stories too. But yeah, another one that I found really interesting is how it ties into the whole legend of Arthur and Merlin.
I was actually about to ask you if it did have any ties.
Yeah, because there's that whole because they all live in Avalon,
right?
But there's actually stories of Merlin when he gets seduced by Nimue or Vivian. There's stories where it's actually Melusine's two sisters, Melor and Palatine, who seduced him and led him to his death. So that is a direct tie-in of the whole Melusine story into the Merlin legend. Later on, she also finds some older knights that actually saw her monstrosity and loved her anyways, and then tried several times he asked her to marry him, and tried several times to get her to marry him, but she didn't trust him, and so eventually he ended up marrying somebody else, and then Melusine and him had an argument where he was pretty much, because she got angry and he was saying, I tried to marry you this whole time, but you wouldn't trust me, and then she realized that she made a mistake and then left back to Avalon or somewhere.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. That's kind of how the story ends usually. But what I found interesting is when I was doing the research, just how much just the story of Melusine, it's like nobody knows the story of Melusine, but then like everyone knows the story of Melusine on some level because it's affected just the whole world. So many stories and legends and fairy tales and mythology comes from just this one story. And two royal houses that are still, or at least I know that I'm not sure if is the Duchy of Luxembourg still a thing?
Yeah.
I know that, okay, so two royal houses
I think it's like a city-state, but...
Yeah, they're small now, but they still both exist, and they both, well, the Luxembourgs tie their origin back to Melusine, and the Lusignans know that she came into their family, because it was no, it wasn't Arthur, it was... whatever, Ed, I forget his name.
Eddard Stark?
No. It's someone in the Luxembourg, or not Luxembourg, the Lusignan family. I think it was Edmund, or I can't even remember. I don't know why I'm still trying. Anyway, someone ended up marrying her.
Edward the Confessor.
Edward, that's what it was. Edward Lusignan.
Manchester. Yeah.
Yeah. There is the tale of Melusine.
All right. It's bullcrap. It's stupid. You're stupid for believing it.
See, I think it's real.
That was so convincing.
Yeah, I came with a real argument. It's just lazy.
the fact that I started laughing before I could finish. No, it could be real though, because so much.
Long pause. Because she's single.
Lucky for you. Because it is so widespread. You know, there are still those royal houses. And I had a question earlier, I forgot to ask it. What was you said the last time she was seen was like in the 16th century. When did it start? When did the
story of Melusine?
Yeah.
I think it was dated back as early as the 800s or the 600s. Can't remember.
All right.
80 or BC?
80.
Huh.
So it's definitely a medieval era.
Well, it would have to be pre that if like you still had the Celts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess no, Celts were still around at that point.
Yeah, and I think that might have even been. Yeah, I can't remember. I remember seeing something about it because I kept forgetting to research when it started, but I remember seeing something about like 600 or 880.
All right, this is my take on it. Royal families need some way to describe why they are so messed up. They refuse to say exactly that the fact that they are inbred and all messed up. They can't just say that my cousin who is also messed up. Yeah, we had a kid together, and because we don't have basic understanding of genetics, we're going to go ahead and keep doing that for hundreds of years until the point where the entire aristocracy of an entire continent are so closely related together, it would be illegal for them to be married in most countries across the earth. But because we are European aristocrats, it's totally okay and it's cool. Because we aren't inbred bunch of morons and homicidal maniacs. We are descendants of this crazy snake witch. All it is It's these crazy people with bad teeth and like a little shriveled up hand, and the other hand's like this massive thing, and they got these ears that like Dumbo would think look ridiculous.
You're just describing English people now.
Oh, burn. They had to find some way to make it regal, not we're messed up. Please help us. We need to like be put down. If we were a dog breed, they would discontinue our family, our lineage.
Well, maybe.
That was pretty harsh.
Screw them. Bunch
They
of
did-
homicidal maniacs.
There was like an actual specific account of all the deformities too for all the 10 children.
Yeah,
And it
that's
was pretty
exactly-
much everything that you just said. The large teeth, ears, the hand, like all of it. It's like you just worded up several of the children's deformities.
Yeah, they're pretty, like, there is a long history of royalty having diseases because of how closely they marry and then inbreed. And
But they keep
It's
doing
not
it,
good.
and then they finally get some class in there, and one of them marries an American. Best thing they have ever done for their family, that is.
yeah.
they ostracized them.
Ostrich size?
Ostracized them.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, buddy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Rebuttal?
I'm just picturing flying snake. Which probably is not
That's a
good
Gojira song,
argument.
right? Oh, no, never mind. That is not Flying Snakes. Flying
What?
Whales.
Oh.
Great song. Do we have a rebuttal?
She
Is a she.
She's the fairy princess of the forest. Fairy queen of the princess forest.
Yeah, I found that part really interesting.
That was rough to get through. I don't know why, but it was rough for me to get through.
I think, okay, I'm not going to say that it's totally true.
Thank God.
I just can't. Like, even though I'm supposed to argue for it, I, like, can't. But I think that it's probably a little true. But just, like, she probably didn't actually have a serpent tail. She probably had, like, a birthmark. And they were like,
There's
oh
probably
my God!
Just like a vestigial tail.
Yeah,
And they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's not a deformity.
Yeah,
It's...
and then, like, everything. So I think she was probably a real person or something like that. And then everything else was so hyped up.
I can agree with that. I can.
She only inherited her inbreeding deformities on Saturdays.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Maybe that was just like she was also probably a little bit mentally unstable.
Yeah.
So like Saturday was her day that she organized her pots and pans or something. Also, did they have a 7-day week back then?
Yep.
Gonna edit that out. I'm telling you that now. I knew that.
I'll just
Alright,
bleep it out.
So
How long is that bleep?
I'm just gonna spread it. I'm just gonna make
like
several
slight
bleeps.
pauses within it.
You just went on a swearing rampage.
And just like the only time you stop the beep is like where I say I or you or something like that. Well, that's something to look forward to. Hopefully I can also get fired from my job, not just cast out of my family.
Well, that was a
Right.
quick argument.
Yeah, I
know, it's
couldn't.
like, at this
I mean, like, it was a really interesting story, but there was just.
Yeah, it was quite a bit different. Like
I
when I heard of the mermaid logo on Starbucks was something else, I was like, ooh, that sounds like something to be fun to research. It was
Right.
totally fun to
Yeah.
research.
I expected when you told me that that's what you're doing, it went a different direction. But that does bring me to my segment. All right, since you guys love it so much and didn't whine at all when I had played a game before,
Wine and cheese, wine and cheese.
we're going to play another game. Now, this game is if Bigfoot ordered at Starbucks, what would Bigfoot order? Do I need to go again so you guys have a second to think?
I
Go first.
think that Bigfoot would order the logo because I actually had an idea that
I want me a wife.
Is that
Bring
like the
it.
equivalent of just like I'll take, where just like a rich guy walks into a store, I'll take it. Like, what do you mean? The whole place. Give it to me, young bucko. He's got like,
Yeah,
for some
exactly.
reason, he's got like suspenders. He snaps. And
No.
I was almost
It's
thinking,
a fancy
what if
Bigfoot.
Melusine taught Bigfoot all his elusive ways.
No.
Because later on,
Taught him how
that's
to
all
grow a
she is.
snake
Because
butt.
she was a medieval cryptid. It's
And
like
that's
there
why-
were sightings of her, but for the most part, she would just vanish
Yeah,
or
yeah,
not seen.
I was gonna ask you, like, this is totally getting away from the game, but that's okay. Let's face it was a stupid game. I was just like mainly like using it to like yell at Lindsay. But anywho's will be. Was there any modern day sightings of her?
No.
No.
So
The earliest sighting was the one I mentioned that she circled around the tower 3 times before it burnt down. Or
I
the
have
castle.
a theory
Gotcha.
expanding on Steven's theory that Bigfoot would take over Starbucks.
He's
Big-
also liberal.
Fair enough.
He lives in Washington.
I was going to say
chances are.
Bigfoot lives in Washington. Stop saying things before I do. Bigfoot lives in Washington.
And it's pretty liberal.
That's not my point. The first
Dang it.
Starbucks is from Seattle.
As we know, Seattle is in France.
I think that he would order an espresso because apparently there's a Bigfoot Java that has an espresso.
Did you just Google the Starbucks menu?
Nope. I literally just Googled
You know that
Bigfoot coffee and there's Bigfoot Java. I don't even know where this store is, but they have espresso.
order me one. That's
Most coffee places do.
Yeah. But that sounds Bigfoot.
Okay, since Bigfoot lives in Washington, he would probably be a purist and just order black coffee.
20 shots of straight espresso.
No, just like coffee, like good coffee. So he wouldn't go to
I think that's
Starbucks.
actually his guess.
Oh, yeah, I forgot this was a game. I was still arguing.
Oh, continue.
So my actual answer is he wouldn't go to Starbucks because Starbucks doesn't have good coffee. He'd go to a local coffee shop.
Hot take. Very hot take. All right. Well, you all were wrong. What he would order would be a white chocolate soy latte. As we all know, they use white chocolate to lure Bigfoot. It's one of his favorite things to do. And then, judging from the excrement that we have found, he is obviously lactose intolerant. So therefore, he would have to have soy milk. Where are my pants? Why are y'all looking at me like that? And
I
that
thought there
concludes
was
my
more to that
segment.
story.
What?
I said that. Oh, I thought there was more to that story.
No, that was it. I just said what his order would be, and then I surmised it. You're still rolling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good.
No, we're actually sitting down.
That's the first thing he
Stab you,
said
I
all day.
swear.
Don't make him
I
shush.
forgot you were there, and then you come in with that. All right, so I did kind of interrupt the argument for that segment, but it is worth it. We can all agree that was great. That was so much better than anything this podcast has ever done. Just good stuff.
I found it easier to argue for cryptids than I did for that, though, because like cryptids, I can convince.
Well, it is a cryptid.
Yeah, it's just a medieval one.
Yeah, okay, modern ones
It's one
where
that
there's
went
modern
extinct.
sightings because
Yeah, they're less fantastical.
yeah,
Well, no, there's some pretty fantastical ones, but they're less like fairy tale-ish.
right.
Well,
I think
Europeans are just trying to compensate.
Yeah, because they don't like. They're really jealous of our American snake butts.
That's
so
why
they're
they
like,
tried to take over the world.
yeah. Well, they
I was
kind
about
of
to
did.
give spoilers
They-
for our next podcast.
The Europeans did take over the world. What?
No way.
did the sun ever set on the British Empire?
Find this out next week on the Water Babies podcast.